Begin the invisible zipper by separating your two pieces of fabric. You do not need to prepare this zipper. The first thing that you're going to do is unzip the zipper, and then with the piece of fabric that will be going on the left side, you're going to line up the left side of the zipper so that the tape edge is lining up with the raw edge of the fabric. Next, you'll pin this in a couple of places so that the top edge of the zipper is at the top of the fabric, and then you should have some excess at the bottom of the zipper. Once you've done this, you're going to replace your regular presser foot with an invisible presser foot. This foot has two grooves and a single hole that goes through the center. You'll use each side of the groove for a different side of the zipper. Once you've tightened it, you'll be placing your fabric so that the left tunnel or the left groove on the zipper foot is going to be going over the left side of the fabric. So you'll be placing that groove right in where the coil goes. Begin with a back stitch, and then you'll notice that there's a little bit of plastic that's harder and it might be a little bit taller, so you just have to lift up the presser foot and hop over that bit of plastic. Remove the pins as you go and feel free to clip the thread once it's down into the machine. And continue to use the zipper foot so that that left groove is on top of the zipper coil. You will continue sewing until you reach the zipper head at its lowest point and then backstitch. After you've done this, clip your threads, and then you're going to check to make sure that your zipper unzips and zips. If it doesn't zip, you might have stitched your coil and you'll need to unpick it and redo it. If you see too much more of the zipper than this, then you might want to undo it so that you can get a little bit closer. So I'm going to show you what it should look like and how close the stitching should be to the zipper coil. It should look just like that. Next, you're going to zip up your zipper so that you can see what your next step is. Oftentimes, I will lay the zipper down on a project, how it's supposed to look when it's done, and that'll help inform how I'm supposed to lay my fabric. So now we're going to be lining up the top edge of both of the fabrics together while the zipper is zipped up, and then I'm going to just pin the top. So I've got the right side of the fabric lining up with the coil as well as the edge of the fabric. So the edge of your zipper tape is going to be in line with the edge of your fabric. Now you're going to be flipping this over and you're going to be sewing so that the seam allowance is on the left side of your machine and the bulk of the fabric is on the right side of the machine, which is opposite of what you normally do when you're sewing. Feel free to reposition your pin so it's easier to take out. And then we're going to be using the right groove, so the right side of this invisible zipper foot to do the right side of the sample. Make sure that the groove is in line with the coil and hop over that top stop if you need to, if it gets stuck. You're going to continue stitching until you get to the top of the zipper head, just like we did on the other side. You're going to stitch until you cannot stitch anymore, and then you'll end with a back stitch. Again, make sure you're using the right groove on this side. After you've completed that, you can clip your threads, and once again you're going to check to make sure that you didn't stitch over any coils or that you're too far away from the zipper coil. So sometimes you have to twist your fabric around to do this, but once you've done that, your zipper should look like that so that you don't see much of the tape. And now we're going to stitch down the bottom edge of the fabric. So now I'm going to pin through my first stitch line on one side, and then when I come out on the other side, I should be able to see whether or not I am lining up with the other stitch. If you're not, you're just going to begin your stitching down the center of the rest of the seam a little bit higher. So you want to make sure it's at least, about 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch above both of your stitches. Now you're going to remove the invisible zipper foot and you're going to put on a right cording foot. Make sure that you have your knee lever up all the way when you do this so that it can get high enough for you to insert the zipper foot, the cording foot. So there should just be a little cutout on the right side of this, and this is the right cording foot that we're attaching. This allows us to get really close to the stitch that we just did without stitching on the zipper. Now with your threads off to the side, you're going to put your fabric underneath the machine so that you're a little bit above where you ended your stitching. So I'm just butting up the edge of the zipper foot, or the foot with the zipper, and then you're going to pull the excess zipper tape out of the way. Begin with a back stitch, and then keep that zipper tape out of the way by pulling it off to the right side. And then you're going to stitch using a 1/2 inch seam allowance down the rest of the edge, or the remainder of the seam. And with a back stitch, clip your threads at the top and the bottom, and then you could head over to the iron to press and check your stitching. So now you can see where the stitch line is of my second row of stitching. You kind of veer off from it. And then you can press that center seam open at the bottom of the zipper tape. You can flip your sample over, and now you're going to press the top side of the zipper tape. Here's where you can tell if you stitched too close or too far away from your original stitch for that bottom seam. If you've stitched too far away, there will be a pucker. And if you've stitched too close, then it might also pucker in the opposite direction. So make sure that you've pressed things nice and flat. Make sure that you can't see the zipper tape through the seam when you press it flat. And you've now completed your first invisible zipper.